What was so bad about that? Because a child?
A child. No.
Generic control and that goes me. We're back with the kill count reaction. Today we're doing a classic in Frankenstein from 1931. I believe this is gonna be the second time we've done one of these like super old classics, where I believe the other one was like what, Night of the Living Dead or something like that, which we did that a couple of months ago. But we're doing Frankenstein. I've never actually seen this movie. All I know is like Frankenstein's monster is kind of like Frankenstein is a doctor who, like, you know, got a whole bunch of like body parts from cadavers and like got struck by lightning and made a monster come to life or something like that. I don't know. It's gonna be my first time ever seeing this movie that is super old. Last week's video was the Ice Cream Man kill count. You can check out my reaction to that. I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also in a place on my channel. But I never even heard of that movie. Next is gonna be The Evil Dead, which I've actually seen the Evil Dead movie. I believe the 1981 version I've actually seen. I haven't seen Evil Dead 2 or any of the other ones, but we're gonna do these two next week. But patrons get all the videos a day early. They got this video a day early for $3 a month. I could not do this if it was not for them. And I do read our comments. Leave some down below. And also, I should be starting the Crash Bandicoot franchise today for the very first time. Playthrough of that. I should be live streaming that at 5 p.m. 30 minutes after this video goes live. But let's go ahead and jump into Frankenstein from 1931. Whew, this is an old one. I've never actually seen this movie, so this is going to be interesting.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and for our Halloween treat this year, I wanted to look at one of the all-time
this dropped on
classics of the
Halloween?
genre,
Okay.
Frankenstein, released in 1931 by Universal Studios
So
and
old.
directed by James Whale. Adapted from a play based on the 1818 novel by Mary Shelley, not Mrs. Percy
1880?
B. Shelley, opening credits of this movie. Frankenstein is one of the best-known horror stories of all time.
I mean, I just know
Although
about
this
the
was
monster.
not the first film adaptation of the Frankenstein story, it's by
1910.
far the most famous, and the one that forever shaped how we think of Frankenstein's monster, who, yes, is often simply called Frankenstein. And
Even
you know
though the
what?
doctor
It's
is
not that big a
Frankenstein.
deal. It's fine. Played by Boris Karloff,
Even I know that.
with makeup designed by Jack Pierce, this is your father's Frankenstein. This version of the monster has been replicated and parodied non-stop
With a
for the
leather
past
jacket.
90 years. Think about that. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who doesn't know what Frankenstein's monster looks like, and it's been
Even I
nearly
know
a
that.
century since this movie came out. That is one hell of a legacy. The history of Frankenstein is worth countless hours
Even I
of
know, that's
discussion,
impressive.
But since this is a comedy show on YouTube that's ostensibly about counting kills, I think we should just cut to the chase and get to them already.
Did Frankenstein's monster kill?
The movie begins with O.G. Van Helsing, Edward Van Sloan, also this movie's Dr. Waldman, giving a word of friendly warning to the audience.
About
I think
what?
it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you.
If this looks
Is it, like,
familiar,
on
it's because The
stage?
Simpsons parodied this opening in their first few Treehouse of Horror episodes.
So if you have
They did
sensitive
what?
children, maybe you should tuck them into bed early tonight instead of writing us angry letters tomorrow.
The short opening credits feature a kaleidoscope of eyes and a big old question mark for the monster's performer. Though
the
I'll give you
monster-
a hint, his
who?
name rhymes with Schmor Schmarloff. A bunch of people are gathered at a gravesite burial
is it
in
Boris?
a cemetery with a giant fake sky background. After the dirt is shoveled in and the last well-wisher leaves, Dr. Henry Frankenstein and his platonic life partner Fritz slink their way to the gravesite.
I also
and get straight to
watched,
work. Ooh, this doctor ain't
Black
afraid to roll
Butler,
up his
Book of the
sleeves and
Atlantic
work
last
right
night.
alongside his hunchback toady. I like that.
So, like,
they
that was
successfully
really good.
dig up the coffin, and Frankenstein can't wait to take his new toy home and play with it.
He's just resting, waiting for a new life to come.
But Frankenstein's not satisfied with just a single
I thought it was a
new
bunch of
collection. He wants
different
a whole
bodies.
set, so he and Fritz gather up another body, that of a recently hanged criminal. I guess I'll put this body on the count.
They just
since
do
I
that?
counted similarly discovered bodies in the Adrian Brody Predators movie. But I won't count the one they dug up since we never saw it. I don't know, man. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately
Does it
for
matter?
Frankenstein,
It's not gonna
this
set any
latest body's
records.
not in NRFB condition.
The neck's broken. The brain is useless. We must find another brain.
Hey, you can't get that mad, dude. The listing for that dead body said good condition. You know you should have
Oh,
paid
wow.
extra for the one that said like new. To get a new brain,
This is
Fritz
lightly
gets in on a
used.
medical college class straight out of the Nick, where the professor, Dr. Waldman, gives his class a cut comparison on the two brain
cut
specimens.
comparison?
One
Which
in
I need to
absolutely
start
perfect
those.
Condition, and the other a big
Maybe I'll
Duty
do-
brain that came
maybe
from a
Wednesday?
degenerate criminal. I'll
Maybe?
give you two
Be
guesses
subscribed.
as to which one Fritz winds up with after class is dismissed. To his credit, he does go for gold at first, but then old Butterfinger Fritz drops and breaks that brain, so he's forced to settle for the convict cortex.
The
Frankenstein sends a
abnormal?
letter to his fiancée Elizabeth, who you can tell is his fiancée because she keeps a picture of him on the piano. The letter says that Frankenstein is in a watchtower working on experiments, and that concerns Elizabeth enough to call for
Should
help
be.
from their confusingly named friend Victor. Go ahead and change Victor Frankenstein's name to Henry if you want, even though you're essentially renaming him Hank Frankenstein. But maybe don't use his name for another character who wasn't even in the book. It's a little confusing. Victor
Why,
tells
though?
Elizabeth that he'll help her get Hanky Frankie back, even though it's clear he'd be just fine taking over for Frankenstein in more than just name.
I'm far too fond of you.
I wish you were.
I wish you were.
Yeah, Victor, this is a proper handshake relationship only. The two of them meet with Dr. Waldman, who's got a serious skull fetish going on, and he confirms for them that his former student Henry is one seriously creepy Mother Franken, who left the university when the school refused to let him dig up dead bodies for his experiments.
That's
Whatever happened to
unreasonable.
the pursuit of
Yeah.
knowledge, Doc, so you
Come
steal
on
a few bodies here and there. Big whoop. The body snatching
They
Frankenstein
don't need him
is hard
anymore?
at work in his watchtower, which is equipped with cool gothic-looking lab equipment and a lightning rod on the roof, because DJ
Dude, look at the
Hankenstein
bricks.
all about that
The
renewable
set.
energy, yo. He's been making
That's
a man
rough.
with black hair and a tan, bandage wrapped around his head, and the oncoming storm is about to provide all the power they need for an evening of reanimation.
Lightning.
Too bad that's when the doorbell ding-a-lings, because Elizabeth, Victor, and Dr. Waldman have
In the
arrived,
ring.
inadvertently just in time for the Franken festivities. Elizabeth begs Henry to come home, but he's like, nah, man, I got science to do, prompting Victor to call Henry crazy.
Crazy, am I?
Crazy. I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber
Whether
room.
I'm crazy.
A rubber room with rats.
He takes them all upstairs.
That's
and
making me
gets their
crazy.
Individual
Crazy.
head nods of consent before showing them his mad science laboratory and the build-a-body abomination he has beneath that blanket.
Quite a good scene, isn't it? One man crazy, three very sane spectators.
Yo, and one Fritz, Frank. Don't forget your loyal hunchback. It's finally still
Yeah, he's very
and I
hunchback.
love how it looks like Henry and Fritz drilled for this moment countless times because they
Like they
run
knew
like
what to do.
clockwork,
Yeah.
getting the body ready to frickin' ascend into the air and through the ceiling so it can be exposed to the power of the elements above. Hell yeah, dude,
AKA
I
lightning.
love this giant laboratory set. It's even got those Tesla ball things that make your hair stand on edge. In fact, all this crazy lab equipment, designed by electrician Kenneth Strickfaden, was so awesome it was reused in movies up until the 1970s. Now that's a
Wow.
time of life. This storm is something fierce.
What was the
giving Victor
budget
and
for
Elizabeth
this?
An excuse to steal a snuggle, and after the body's been blasted with enough electric energy, Henry brings it back down into his lab. Wait, how's it not all wet in there with that giant hole in the ceiling? The body slowly
That's a
comes to
good
life,
question,
hand
actually.
first, and we get the movie's most infamous quote from Dr. Frankenstein.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
It's an awesome moment
Which is
by
terrifying.
the magnificently manic Colin Clive, but he sadly had a serious drinking problem and died at the young age of 37. Co-star Mae Clark, who played Elizabeth, called him the handsomest man, but also the saddest. Interestingly,
Well,
the
that's
second part of the It's
awful.
Alive line proved to be pretty controversial back in 1931.
In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God.
Yeah, that part was
Oh.
way too blasphemous for a handful of states
Really?
that would cut the line out before showing it in theaters or later
What
on
states?
TV. The next day, Victor and Elizabeth visit Henry's dad, Baron Frankenstein.
Bro, that pipe is
The dude
so
was
long.
one tiny car away from being a Shriner in the Mayday parade. Also, hope that pipe you chiefing on ain't opium, Baron, or else you about to be floating on the ceiling, dude. If he is high as balls, though, he's gonna be real excited about his next visitor.
If you please, Herr Baron, the Burgomaster.
What? The fucking
what?
Burger Master? I didn't
The
know they had
Burger
delivery back
Master?
then.
Well, what do you want? If it's trouble, go away. I've trouble enough.
Yeah, but like,
Nice.
if instead of trouble, it's delicious burgers for you, brah.
Both in my private and official capacities as Burgomaster. Yes, we know all about that, but what do you want?
What is a
Hold on,
Burger
I don't know all
Master?
about that. Tell me
I wanna
about your
know.
delicious duties, Burger Dude. I guess they involve throwing the wedding, which, you know, interesting catering choice. But with Henry away, playing with dead dudes all day, the wedding's an impossibility right now. And, not wanting to be further embarrassed in front of his burgery bro, Baron Frankenstein resolves to go retrieve his son and get this wedding taken care
Oh,
of.
really?
Dr. Waldman has stayed at Frankenstein's watchtower lab and is criticizing the mad scientist's questionable
So
ethics.
where is
When
Frankenstein's
the hangster tells him
monster?
to chill, they used a grade A brain from Waldman's very own lab. The doctor delivers the bad news.
The brain that was stolen from my laboratory
It was the
was a
abno-
criminal brain.
Frankenstein is taken aback, but still
Is this
refuses
supposed to be like a
to
lesson?
extradite the criminal brain. And speak of the abomination, here he comes.
So
We
he's gonna be
finally get
criminal?
our first image of Frankenstein's monster, of course played by Boris Karloff, who apparently was
Oh,
cast
Boris,
by
yeah.
James Whale pretty much for his bone structure. And again, you've got to hand it to makeup artist Jack P. Pierce for designing such an instantly iconic look for the creature. You got
Also the
prominent
head.
ridge brow, the electrode bolts in the neck, the flat top. It's great. I will mention that there is some dispute over how much influence James Whale had on the design, but by all accounts, Jack Pierce was the one who brought it to life. But you know what?
Fair.
Props to everyone here. The monster is already.
I mean, it's a
learned at least
classic.
one
100
trick
years
to
old.
sit, and much like a house cat, is instantly attracted to sunbeams that come through the window. Oh, does Frankie Monster have a toasty belly for me to rub? He's still
Aw,
pretty bad at
sunbathing.
communicating, though.
I miss my
skipped all his
cats.
ASL classes, and worst of all, he's straight freaked the fuck out by fire. Well, we never get a classic fire bad, since the creature doesn't speak at all in this film. It's
Oh, he
no
doesn't
wonder
speak?
the monster's got issues when it comes to open flames. seeing
Why?
as they recklessly wave it around him and tackle him to the ground while he's being a big Fradestein. Then what? They put him in a cell and Fritz just runs
Why?
in there to randomly
because
whip
criminal?
him? Dude, Fritz sucks. Leave that
Why?
monster alone.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, listen to your master. But instead, Fritz keeps waving his torch at the creature
Oh, it's
like
gonna
an
be bad.
asshole. So it should
Why is he
come as
laughing?
no surprise that Frankenstein and Waldman hear the hunchback screaming a minute later.
They told him to leave alone.
When they go to see what's happening,
I mean,
we see that Fritz is
play
joined the
stupid
kill
games,
count,
you know?
somehow having been forcefully hanged by the creature. I love the
How?
understatement of this.
Where'd the
scene.
rope
We just
come
see
from?
The body hanging in the background of a single shot before the amazing doctorly duo has to get out of there, lest they join Herr Fritz in death. Waldman tells Frankenstein that the monster must be destroyed, and
How?
somewhat surprisingly, Frankenstein agrees to fetch a sedative so they can put the creature down. They lure him out with a torch and stick the needle in his
Why
back.
did he lure him
Even
out
though
with the torch?
monster is able to knock down both Waldman and his daddy, Dr. Frankenstein, the sedative soon takes effect and causes him to pass out with some monkey noises.
Okay.
That's when Victor arrives and tells the two doctors that Elizabeth and Frankenstein's father are on their way over. Damn, Henry,
Do they
we've
have
got
to
visitors all
show
along the
this?
watchtower. But there must be some kind of way out of here, said the Victor to the cadaver thief. And together, the three men drag the monster out of sight so the watchtower can be cleaned for company. Victor lets in
really?
Elizabeth and the Baron, who's not impressed by the watchtower's lighting layout, and when they get
The
upstairs
fire
to
on the
where
floor?
Frankenstein
That's
is
valid.
washing up, he collapses on the ground in front of them. The Baron tells his son that it's time to come home, and Henry Frankenstein reluctantly acquiesces.
There's
though not
stuff
without
going
much
on here.
talking. With Frankenstein gone, Waldman sets out to destroy the monster, making sure to chronicle the whole experience in his paper Zanga for science. But while he's
yeah,
journaling,
science. That makes
Frankenstein's
sense.
monster shakes off the sedative. So when Waldman
Why did they
goes to
not, like,
listen to his heartbeat or
restrain
some
him?
shit, the monster slowly raises his hand behind
Somehow
him
they
and
didn't
grabs
feel
Waldman
that?
by the back of his neck. Seems way more like he's scruffing a cat than strangling someone to death, but it's effective enough to kill Dr. Waldman, so what the hell do I know? Also, I love that the strangling is still going on while the scene dissolves away. No shot of the corpse falling or anything? Boo.
Nope.
Now
I
that
mean,
all
he's
out
not
of
gonna get out of
babysitters,
that.
The monster is able to flee the watchtower for a night out on the town.
Oh,
On the day
no.
of Henry Frankenstein's wedding, his dad gives him some
Is the
family
wedding gonna
heirloom
get
stuff
crashed?
and breaks out an old bottle of wine that his grandparents had originally bought. Cheers to young Frankenstein.
I can't tell what type of
but don't
wine it
let
is
the
'cause it's
help
in
have
black
any
and
of the
white.
good booze.
Give the servants some champagne. This stuff's wasted on them.
Yes, yes, ladies, enjoy these glasses of spittle. And then get the hell back to work. This mansion and the expensive art inside aren't going to dust themselves, you know. And looks like the bread and circus approach has also worked on the town's proletariat.
It's extraordinary how friendly you can make a lot of people on a couple of bottles of beer. Tomorrow they'll all be fighting.
No. Let me make this balcony proclamation quick. I can't stand the smell of unwashed masses. While the
That's-
smelly
that's like that
town
rich
celebrated
laugh,
a very
like,
shaky dolly shot.
when you
Seriously,
golfers
without
laughing
any
on the
track
golf
at
course,
all,
like,
Frankenstein's monster wanders through some
like, oh,
foliage
wow,
to find
that
a little
has a
girl
credit
picking
score.
flowers on a lakeshore with the cutest fucking cat. Oh my god!
Oh my-
Kitty! The cat's
I didn't
gone
even
by the time
see
she
the
walks up
cat,
to the
no!
monster and introduces herself as Maria. She's not dismayed by his appearance at all and is just looking for a friend to play with. It's another
Aw.
iconic scene as we
What the
watch
cat,
this
though?
tragically doomed friendship begin to blossom like the flowers Maria is picking. The two of them play a game where they toss flowers into the lake, but when the creature runs out of stock, he figures,
flowers
hey,
die.
little girls look enough like flowers to count, so he
What?
grabs
No,
Maria,
don't.
lifts her up, and tosses her into the water. I guess this girl never took swimming lessons at the Y,
No.
because even though they're right next
Also,
to the shore,
that's not
Maria never
deep
resurfaces.
enough at all.
She drowns to death in that lake. And fun fact, the shot of Frankenstein's monster tossing her into the lake was also cut due to censorship and only rediscovered during the 1980s when it was incorporated back into the film.
What?
It's crazy that for 50 years this movie didn't have that shot in it, and that they were able to find it and put it back in. Breaking that don't see the bride early convention.
What was so
Elizabeth
bad
takes
about
Henry into the
that?
room to tell
'Cause
him that Dr.
a
Baldwin
child?
still hasn't returned from the watchtower, and that something just feels off.
Something is coming between us. I know it. I know it.
But Hank chalks it up to wedding day hysteria, and even after Victor comes in to tell them that Dr. Waldman was indeed found dead in the tower, Frankenstein decides that the best course of action is to just lock his bride to be in the bedroom for her own
Also,
safety.
aren't-
And
they're
then
not
I'll hear
supposed to
some
see
monster moans and realize
the
it
bride
must
on
be
the
nearby.
wedding day.
He's upstairs.
But after a quick look on the second floor, they decide they must have been wrong.
It's in the cellars.
How'd you mix up a sound coming from the cellar with a sound coming from upstairs? Is that mansion just too big for you, Hank? Turns out the monster
first
isn't
world problems.
upstairs or in the cellars. He's right outside Elizabeth's room. He climbs in through the
okay.
window.
She
and
doesn't
even
hear
a
him?
duty-brained monster can see that Elizabeth is quite a catch.
Did he just growl?
Rah, ow! Hubba, hubba. He chases the future Mrs. Frankenstein around the room, and her screams
why?
are heard by
Why
Hank and
chase?
Co. But too bad he
Why?
locked that door.
Why is
'cause by
he
the time they
attacking?
get inside, the monster has fled and the damage is done. By which I mean Elizabeth is entirely okay, just a little shaken up. That's a real lame change from the book there, Universe.
What happened in the
How's
book?
Frankenstein supposed to learn a lesson if the monster doesn't kill his fiance? Maybe they didn't want to kill
Oh.
Elizabeth after already murdering that little girl.
How'd you
and
find
I
the
guess
body?
that makes sense. The
Was
amazing
that also
shots
cut out of
Maria's
this?
father carrying her limp body through the town's wedding celebration are dark as hell and probably finally, my favorite part of the movie. He gets a whole damn pop-up parade following him, and they rabble-rouse their way to the
How do they
police
even
station.
know what
There he
caused
tells
it?
the burgomaster what happened.
She's been murdered.
Really not sure how
How
to
do you
figure
know?
that out when she could have just drowned by accident.
'cause
But
kids.
accidents don't get you exciting mobs, so let's just roll with it. Henry joins the mob because of the attack
What?
on Elizabeth, and the burgomaster delivers a Charles Foster Kane-like speech to kick things off. This is
know
the
who that
most
is.
classic movie mob you've ever seen, complete with bloodhounds and torches.
Aw.
All we're missing are a couple of pitchforks. They march their way out of the city and split up to search all over the
So
surrounding area.
we're angry and
including
we're
in the
gonna-
lake and through
The
the hills.
lake?
Frankenstein
That
has
one
the group
dude
that
just
goes into
rowing?
the mountains, where we get more very obviously fake backdrops. Damn, that shit's wrinkly. Maybe you give it a once-over with an iron before you roll camera. Henry Frankenstein
What was-
stumbles upon the monster.
The dude's rowing the
two
boat
of them
and
have
two
one
other
of those
dudes.
old-timey grapple fights. Eventually, Henry knocks himself out by running into the monster's body. That's why his nickname's the Wall, Hank. He's got a low center of gravity. Nothing can knock him over.
I don't
The
think
monster
he
grabs
necessarily
Frankenstein's
does, 'cause
body
he's pretty
and carries
tall.
it up into the mountains, which the rest of the mob sees from afar. They chase him into
That's
a
not that
window on
far.
a hill, which kindly barricades itself after the monster gets inside.
Oh, how
He drags
convenient.
Dr. Frankenstein up a couple of ladders in a stunt so physically demanding that Karloff wound up having to get 3 back surgeries throughout his life. The price of being a monster, I guess.
Well,
Down
no,
below,
not
the
just for
villagers
that,
know
though,
they're
right?
not safe until he's dead, because he'll come stalking them at night. So they try to bust inside to kill the beast. Frankenstein finally wakes up, and after playing a game of Ring Around the Turbine with the monster, he runs out to the balcony and tries to climb down to safety. But the
What is the
monster seizes
mentality
him,
of
and
the
after
monster?
another short struggle, tosses the doctor from the balcony. Holy
Oh,
shit!
onto the
He lands on one of
windmill?
the
And it goes the
blades.
other way.
Yes. Oh man, that was awesome. But somehow the mad scientist survived. Again, are no
How?
lessons to be learned here, Universal? I guess not, because all that's left to do here
Oh.
is burn the windmill down
Oh.
and kill the beast inside. And with the flames growing to a monstrous size and the creature trapped with nowhere to go, I'm gonna add him to the kill count. Yeah, I know he's in a bunch of other movies,
1 hour and
but
7
listen
minutes.
to these screams, man.
He really doesn't like fire.
Plus, he gets trapped beneath a falling wooden beam as the fire rages around him. As far as I'm concerned, Frankenstein's
Yeah.
monster definitely dies at the end of this movie if you take it as an individual thing,
So,
which
does
is what I'm
he
gonna
get,
do right
like,
now since
charged
I don't have time to
with
cover
it?
all the sequels.
Or
Besides,
what?
don't you want to see the cute little monster icon in the numbers? I know you do. The movie
Oh,
ends
yeah.
with confirmation that
Like a
Henry and
chibi
Elizabeth
Frankenstein?
are both alive, if still in recovery, and Baron Frankenstein toasting to his son's health once more with that wine he won't let his dirty, dirty servants drink.
He
How many kills
literally
could a
created
movie
a
get away
monster.
with in 1931? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
Not that many.
Numbers good. By my
Okay.
count, there were 5 victims.
Look
of
at it.
Frankenstein.
I thought it was gonna be
Including 3
chibi. It's
dudes,
not.
1 little girl, and 1 Frankenstein's monster who.
That's
you
pie
know,
chart's
was
gonna be
also
weird.
a
Is it
dude, so
green?
no extra pie weight.
Oh,
It's fine.
I thought it was
For the
gonna be
one time in
green.
70 minutes, we had a kill on average every 14 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw. for
Well,
coolest
why is
kill to
Frankenstein
Maria.
green?
Like, yeah, it's just a drowning, but they freaking killed a little girl in a movie in 1931.
And it was
Most
hidden
movies
as a
nowadays
secret for
are
50
too afraid
years.
to do that. Besides, it gives way to those amazing shots of her dad carrying the body through town. Doll machete for
And he somehow knew it was a
go to
murder.
Dr. Waldman. Not even the movie could commit to the bit and show the whole kill.
They
It
just
dissolves
fade it out,
away
yeah.
mid-strangle. You gotta believe in yourself for me to buy in, movie. And that's it. Frankenstein came out in
It's an
1931
OG.
and has remained a permanent fixture in popular culture ever since. One day I hope to
Also-
cover the other classic Universal monster movies, but
like
until
what?
I do, I'm
What
James
one else
Anthony.
are there?
This has been the
Also,
Kill
I'll be
Count.
starting
Thanks a
Crash
lot for watching
Bandicoot
this
today.
extra Kill
That
Count. I wanna thank
franchise.
a couple of patrons like
Creepy
J.R.
pasta?
Green,
What?
Michael Reeves, Dylan Fletcher, and Owen Chartrand. Happy Halloween! I know Frankenstein isn't really a Halloween movie. I figured I've been wanting to do a classic monster movie. I want to give you guys
They don't
something
get
extra
many
for Halloween.
views.
Put them together, this is what you get. Hope you enjoyed all the releases in October. Again, we're back to 1 a week in November. I need to sleep. Be good people!
What's sleep? I don't know what sleep is. I'm gonna be recording till probably like 2 or 3 in the morning tonight. But this is Frankenstein Monster. Next week we're gonna do the Evil Dead, which I've seen, and Evil Dead 2, and then the following week we'll do Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead 2013 remake, and then probably come back and do Blood Rage after that as a standalone after that. So that's probably going to be the deal with that. I've actually seen the Evil Dead, which is surprising. I believe there's been like 3 of them. I've seen like Happy Death Day, Get Out, the first Purge movie. I want to say there might be another one or not. I'm not really sure, but this was an OG. I mean, why all of a sudden he started killing people? I guess because of the hunchback dude that was kind of like just picking on him. So, but he was nice to the girl, but then accidentally killed her. But then he just starts like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go in. Like, he was enjoying throwing flowers and playing with the. I don't know. I don't understand it. But it was 1931, and seeing anything move on a screen visually was like groundbreaking for 1931. Well, not necessarily groundbreaking because they've had movies for a long time before that and pictures and stuff like that. But still, nonetheless, this was a groundbreaking movie back in the day. And I look forward to getting to the Evil Dead, which a lot of people are really excited for as well. I hope to see you there. I look forward to reading your comments. But until next video, take care and cue the music.
were playing, I saw